So let's begin this tutorial, and we're going to start off with the center. And while I'm doing a slip knot, I'm going to tell you that there is no slit in my Christmas tree skirt, and the reason for it is that my pets like to mess up my Christmas tree skirts. They like to crawl underneath. Instead of having that temptation, I just like it to be a solid piece, and then I have to put it onto the pole before I insert it into the base when I'm setting up the tree. So it sounds like inconvenient when I'm setting up, but in actual fact, if it's up for a month or two, then it's actually a lot better. So I'm going to start off to make it a solid piece, but I have to make room for the pole, so we're going to start off with chaining 16. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, that's quite a big centerpiece. When we go to pull it, put it back up, so we're going to put the center on, so we're just going to put on the other side, and we're going to pull it through as a slip stitch, just like so, so we have one big solid piece. So now there is the hole for our centerpiece, just like so. I'm also using a size 6mm crochet hook, if you actually see it on there if I pull my hand away, but I'd recommend probably a 6.5 and 4-ply worsted yarn. And in the tutorial preview that you saw, that was actually 4-ply Bernat mosaic yarn. So let's work my way around the center, and so we're just going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, 3. That counts as 1, and what I want you to do is go inside the ring, so just double crochet, so grabbing it, going in, pulling it through, and then pull through 2 and 2, just like so. And I want you to do that 23 times, so that was number 1 of 23. So go around, do that, and we'll meet back up where we'll continue along. And this yarn that I'm using is pretty thin that I'm using, but you know what, I just want to show you how to work it, and it's kind of Christmas yarn as it is, so it's kind of fun to use as well. So I'm now all the way around, and you can see that there's kind of a gap there, and that's not a big deal. So what you should count is that you should have just done 23 of these. Remember that we counted up 3 here, and in actual fact, if you count from that one and all the way around, you should have a total of 24, and that really does make a difference. So what you can just do is that just forget that gap is even there, because what's going to happen is that once you slip stitch it to the top of that chain, the start, slip stitch it, it's going to pull everything together, and it's just going to work itself out. So you see that there's a lot of clumping here. Because of the way that we did it, we can always move stuff around, and that will shift as we go. So now it's time for us to begin the actual points of the star. Now you should know that when I designed this particular tree skirt is that I never had any religion in mind. It just happens to be 6-sided because that's what I wanted, and if that's not what you want, then maybe this is not for you. So what we have is I'm going to chain 1, and then what I want to do is then start to do the chaining, or sorry, start doing the points of the star. So what I want you to do is that we just chained 1, I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to go to the second over, and I'm going to put in 3 double crochets in a row. I'm going to assume that you know how to crochet a little bit in this tutorial. It would make it a lot easier for both of us. Okay, so we're going to put in 3, so there's 1 point, half the point, and then to create the point itself, so that's going up the 1 point of the star, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we come down that same point, so we come down into the same hole, okay, and we are just going to double crochet 3 more times. So we go up by double crocheting 3 times, we create the point by chaining 3 times, and then we come down the other side. And now what we want to do is we want to skip the next stitch in, and we want to go to the second over and just single crochet. So this is the very bottom of the point. Okay, so we're now at the very bottom, so now what we have to do is just skip the next stitch over and go to the second over, and we want to double crochet 3 times. So we're going to go up the point again, so we're going to double crochet 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. We are going to chain 3 because we're going to create the point. 1, 2, 3, and then we come down on the other side by going into the same hole. Okay, and then we again skip. We skip the next stitch, go to the second over for a single crochet. So then, okay, so we're just going to follow what we've been always doing. So we're going to skip the next stitch, go to the second over, and we are going to create the next point. So 3 double crochet again, chain 3 for the point, and we want to come down the other side of that, so we come into the same hole again for 3. So 1, 2, and 3. We skip the next stitch in the circle, go to the second one over, okay, and we're going to do the next one. So we skip the next one, go to the second over for 3 double crochets again. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3 for the point, coming into the same hole as we come down the other side of the point. Okay, and now we skip the next one on the bottom there, and we go to the second one over, and we single crochet, and again we start with the next one. So skip, go to the second over, and we're doing 3 double crochet again. So this kind of varies. We're going to do our 3 chain and then come down the other side for 3. So this varies from the 5 point that is very popular with me, and the reason for it is you want to create that center piece to be wide so that the Christmas tree can go down in between. Okay, so we're going to skip the next one, go into the second one over for a single crochet, and what we want to just do is you want to count. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the final point because I said it was a 6-sided point. So we're going to just follow the pattern as we've been doing. So up the one side for 3. Okay, doing the point for chaining 3 and then coming down the other side for 3 double crochets as well. Okay, and then this here, when we go to skip over, we should be lining it to where we started. Okay, so we're just going to slip stitch it right where we started in the beginning so that we can finalize the star itself. And so you can see things started to shift around and balance as I've been going all the way around. So let's start completing your next level of the star, and once I complete the next level, everything else from here on in is exactly identical. Okay, so here's the catch of the star. The thing about the star is that it comes down and it comes to a low point and it has upper points. The problem is that when you start the next level is that you will notice that where we're coming to low points, they will actually form these big holes like you see here. So you really can't see it now, but it's actually there. So what we have to do over here is that we have to get away from the center point. We're exactly in between 2 points. And how we do it is that we work by slip stitching 2. So slip stitch, just grabbing through, just go into the next stitch and then go again to the next one available, just like so. So we want to slip stitch so that we are over top of the second one before you get to the end. Okay, so now we chain up 3. So 1, 2, 3. So this is what it should look like, is that when you're chaining up, you're actually not in the center of between the 2, and then we begin again. So now that we're up on the 2, we have to actually come over, so we're going to go over to the next one, which will be the last one before you hit the end of the point. Okay, so you have 1 and 2. Okay, so this was your chaining, and so now the next piece is right in the corner. So every time you get to a corner, no matter where you are in this project on the edge, you want 3 double crochets, 3 chain, and 3 double crochets, and you do that every time you come to the point of this particular project. So 1, 2, 3. So we're coming down the other side by going into the same gap as well. And what's happening with this is that it's causing, so we're now coming down the other side. So for 3 double crochets. Okay, so before we continue, so this gap is being carried on to this gap over here, you see that? And so you remember that we had 2 here, so this is the chaining of 3 and then the double crochet before we went to the edge. This means that we have to get 2 on this side of the star as well. We have to actually maintain that. So the first one is actually right there. A lot of people like to skip it, but it's actually right at the base of where these are all meeting. So we come down right in there. So 1 and 2, so that was your double crochet, and then we go into the very next one for a double crochet. Okay, so basically these two here match these two over here. I know that's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's actually true. Trust me. So do you remember that when we were over here and we chained up 2, or chained up 3 over here, what happens is that over here you have the 2 final. So you come in over, so instead of doing anything in the center, you just automatically start the double crochet and you come into the second one before the tip. Okay, so that was, see how that is? So there's 1, there's the tip. Okay, so that was the one before the tip, and then we do the tip again. So 3, 3, and 3. So 3 double crochet, 3 chain, okay, and 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3 for the chain. That is the very tip point of the star when you do that. Okay, so remember, like we just did on the other side, we had 2 over here before you went to the tip. So what you need to do is make sure you get 2 on this side as well. You will notice that every time you go around, your each point will get more than 2. Okay, so for example, you have 2 here before the tip, so that when we come back around and do this again, you'll have 4 here and then the tip. And every time you gain a rotation, you'll gain by 2 on each tip. So let's go over here, just like we did before. Okay, it's the second one over. Okay, it creates that nice gap in the middle. And then the tip. So 3, 3, and 3. So that was 3 double crochet, 3 chain, 3 double crochet. Okay, and remember this round we're having 2 coming in here before we go to the tip, so that means we have to get 2 on the other side. You will notice that with every revolution, you'll instead of having to count that out, you'll know it. It just is one of those things that you just end up knowing, and it's not something you have to really pay careful attention to. So we're going to jump now to the other tip, leaving the gap in the middle. And in fact, I should say that the gap at this particular point, you're skipping over 3 stitches to do so. But I like to look from the tip going backward just to make sure that it stays in line. Again, I'm working on the tip, so 3, 3, and 3. 3 double crochet, 3 chain, 3 double crochet. Coming down the other side for 3 double crochets. Okay, now I'm already starting to think about, I had 2 on the other side, therefore I should get 2 on this side. Okay, and then again, just the same thing is that we want to jump over, so you can either skip 3 stitches or you can just look for the 2 from the back. Okay, 2 from the back there, and then we're on the point again, so 3, 3, and 3. So this revolution basically is going to set the precedence for the rest of your project when you're doing this. So in actual fact, you have to, you really can't avoid this revolution, because you'll notice that we're skipping over 3 in the bottom sections like I talked about a little bit earlier, and in the next rotations you're no longer skipping 3, but you're actually skipping 2. And the reason for it is just because of the simple way that you've been transitioning from a regular double crochet going around, establishing the points, and then getting this revolution to go around to really start to really finalize what it's going to look like. So we're going to now skip over to the final. Okay, so I'm just looking from the 2 from the back or 2 from the point. It's just easier to do it that way, or you could skip over 3, whatever's more convenient for you. I'm on the point again, so I'm doing my 3, 3, and 3. You'll find that these Christmas tree afghans will actually grow really fast on you. It's with every revolution you get a little bit slower, because every time you circulate around, you're almost gaining by 3/4 of an inch, if not about an inch in size, and therefore you have more stitches every time you revolve around. actually I think I worked out the math that you have an extra 4 stitches per point. Therefore, you got 6 points. So every time you go around, you'll have 24 more stitches to do. So now we have to join the final end, okay? And we want to maintain this gap. That's why we did our slip stitching. And we just reach over just the top of where we chained, and we want to do a slip stitch, just like so. Okay, so let's revolve around this one again. And this final one that I'm about to show you is what you're going to do for the remainder of this particular crochet piece. So now where we finished off, we're directly in the center point again, but we can't be. We have to be slightly out in order to maintain these gaps that are now appreciating in the middle, just like so. So every time you now get bigger is that you have to slip stitch one over. So this is, you're over top of this one here, but it's directly right in the center point. You have to move over one, so you just go over one stitch, pull through and through. And so basically your material has now just moved over the second one, and then you chain 3. Okay, so now you can see that you're slightly off center. When this goes back around, you'll notice that it will not be in the center, which is what you want. Now what you should be noticing now is that you should only have now 4 stitches available instead of 2, and these are all the ones in between before getting to the point. So we just want to go into each one. Okay, so that was 1, okay, 2, 3. So I said that there's 4, and the reason there's 4 is that you've already chained up 3 on one of them. Okay, so every time you go around, this is the only time you're chaining up, so all the rest of them will totally make sense. So you're now on the edge, so let's do your 3, 3, and 3. I have had this yarn for almost 2.5 years, not knowing what to do with it, and because it's a Christmas theme, I thought, well, I'm going to use it for this tutorial. Okay, so we came up 4 on the other side, so now we have to go down 4 when we get to the in-between piece. Okay, so the first one is right in that bad boy, right there. Okay, so that was 1, you can count it. 2, 3, and 4. And you should be, if we did it right, yep, we should have these 2 right in the center left alone, so you should not go into the next 2 stitches and go into the third one over. Okay, and you should be able to work yourself up 4 going up the other side. So in the next revolution, when you come around, you're actually going to have 6 stitches to play with. And the reason for it is that every time you're putting your 3, 3, 3 into the point, that's where you're actually increasing your stitch counts, is right there. So we're now on the next point. Okay, so 3 double crochets, 3 chain. Okay, and we come down the 4 just like we did on the other side. So that's what you need to do in this revolution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this for you now, and I'm going to show you how to change a color, and I'm going to just explain to you where you need to finish this project off. So let's get all the way around, and don't go any further than that, and we'll meet back up in just a few seconds, and I'll show you how to change color on this bad boy. So I'm now all the way back around again, so you can already see the gaps are starting to form. Really gorgeous, gorgeous star. And what I want to do is I would just want to slip stitch again, so we're just going to join it. Okay, so the top of the chain where we were before, and pull it through and through, and so then that seals it shut again like it was. So we're going to change color, but the point is that you can't change color yet, because the problem is that we're now back in the center again, and we have to be outside the center. So what we need to do is that we need to move over one, so we slip stitch to the next one, we grab our next piece of material. You'll see that there's no ties on this, I'm just putting it on. That's a loop. Okay, just through and through. Okay, just like so, and now I can safely cut the silver material. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it like so, and now because I've already shifted over one, this is where I would do my 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was my chaining. And so now the 2 stragglers that are left over, we want to hide those, and how we do it is that we've already shifted over one, like I said. So now the remainder has to be working all the way up. So now what we actually have is 6 instead of 4. Okay, so this one we increased again by 2 by going around in a circle. So we're just going to go into the next stitch. We're going to lay these on top. Pull it. Oops, I have the double crochet. So I'm going to go into that stitch again and pull it through, and double crochet as normal. And so I keep going along and hiding these stragglers into the top section there as I go. Okay, and that's permanently trapping those into position, so I don't have to worry about those falling out at any point. Remember that crochet is like kind of a simplicity of tying knots, and when you're going all the way, when you're doing this, you're actually tying knots onto itself, therefore it will not come out. So we should have a total of 6. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The chaining of 3 counts as 1, and then we do our 3, 3. So I still have the straggler locked into position. I might as well not cut them yet. I might as well get rid of them and hide them right into the corner piece. Nobody's going to ever see that they're there. If they are, they're too judgmental, and tell them to get away from your project. I almost said other things with that, but I'm not going to. So we're just going to do our 3, 3. Okay, so the stragglers have run out at this point, so where they're sticking out right now, I can just safely cut that after, and now we come down the other side for a total of 3. So you can need to count, or a total of 6. You can just count it. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so we don't want to touch the middle part like we've mentioned before, so the 2 should remain untouched, and so you can just either skip 2 or just look for that and just go up the other side for 6. And that is how you will do it. So when you're finishing off this project, right where we're slip stitching right at the very beginning, when we did that, that is where you'll stop and you'll start. You will notice that in the Afghan or in the preview, I actually use mosaic yarn that I'm actually using right now, and because of the colors of transition, you will notice that at that particular point that the colors will come across red, and then it will jump up one level and keep going red. That's why that's happening, is because that's where you have to shift up. And we're on our 3, 3 again. So it's a very easy tutorial to be able to follow through. Hopefully it makes a lot of sense. When you get to these stars in kind of weird angles, it gets kind of hard to teach online, but hopefully you were able to understand as you go. And when I first started doing this, I was already counting up until I had like 20 going across on a star, and then I kind of clued in that there's actually a repetition, a pattern, and to trust myself. But in the very beginning, you need to really count, because it's very easy to throw the star off alignment by actually not paying attention to the center points there, because if you get one extra stitch going on either side of these stars, you'll notice that the star is not going to grow equally, and it's going to have like one particular point that's out of shape. Until next time, on behalf of the Crochet Crowd and allfreecrochet.com, I'm your host,